They say your early life romance came.
Hey, what's up guys? So we've been getting a lot of questions on the YouTube channel where people have been asking about results. Been asking for us to explain some of the facets of tuning, the results we get from tuning and stuff like that. And just so you know, this will be the third time I've made an attempt at trying to record this, and I think this one we're going to be successful on because I'm not going to go off on a tangent. Well, and this is where things are going to get interesting. So, the very first thing I want to talk with you guys about, dyno. Okay, so when you're tuning, you need to collect data, and the best way to collect that data is a dyno. Now, there's going to be a lot of tuners that are going to come forward and they're going to just throw me under the bus, and they're going to say something about virtual dyno, rolling dyno, data, OBD2 data collection, stuff of that nature. Now, can you tune that way? Yes, you can. Is it optimal? No, it's not. And let me explain why. But first, let me key you in on a few things in the industry that, you know, really popular shops use. They use a dyno. I wrote down a couple names here. These are companies that you should know. If you don't, go look them up. Cobb, Revo, APR, Uprev, SCT, Honda. Okay, these are just a couple of companies that not only offer tuning software, tuning solutions, handhelds, OBD2 port tuning, some flash tuning. These are companies that all use a dyno. Now, why do I make such a big deal about a dyno? Well, honestly guys, the reason I make a big deal about it is because you need to be given the facts. You need to be given the results. And if you have a shop that is selling a tune that doesn't have a dyno, you can rent a dyno, okay? And I'll get to that in just a minute. But if you have a shop who's selling a tune that doesn't have a dyno, you're not getting all the facts. You're not getting the results that you're paying for. Plain and simple. Now, they do have tune services out there where you can go buy a off-the-shelf map. You can, Cobb, Dyno, APR, several of these companies I mentioned have like a 87 tune, a 91 tune, a towing tune, a premium fuel, a race tune, a 100 octane tune. A lot of these companies have those maps that they develop on their own by, of course, swapping out the octane levels, changing the fuel types, putting intakes on the car, exhaust on the car, etc., etc. Dyno, I think I may have forgot to mention them. Dyno offers a Hemi tune with an intake and exhaust, because when you put an intake and exhaust on this particular Hemi, it changes the parameters so drastically that you need to make a tune revision. And they do that with a dyno. Now there's some road tuning that's involved, you know, some drivability aspects that need to be identified and revised without a question of a doubt, but power pulls are made on a dyno. Okay, this is why I got the dyno behind me. I got the dyno behind me in the video to pound this home, to get this through your head, so you know that when you go buy a tune, you buy a tune that's been dyno developed on a dyno, you're getting what you spent your money on. You're getting what you paid for. Okay, there's a couple companies. I'm just going to name a few. English Racing, AMS, Titan Motorsports, T1 Race Development, ETS. Some of the fastest GTRs in the nation come from these companies. You know what the one thing in common with all of those companies? They all have a dyno. Okay, go through and Google top 20 best tuner shops in the USA. Out of that entire list of the top 20 shops, every single one of them has a dyno. So people ask me, you know, why is your tune better than, I don't know, whoever's? Because we developed it on a dyno. And people are like, well, so-and-so this and so-and-so that. So-and-so is giving you a load of BS, and so-and-so is trying to sell a flashy package with some really fancy marketing to sell you, I don't know how they developed it. Maybe it's just luck. You know, blind luck does happen from time to time. So why would something I want you to think about again, why would every tuner that holds a record have a dyno? If you don't need a dyno is very expensive. It takes up a ton of room, and they're not cheap. So why would all the best tuners in the nation have a dyno? Really something you need to think about, okay? There's a lot that's being misrepresented online. There's a lot of tunes that are getting sold with claims behind them because they put them on a dyno with a tune, don't have any baseline. Now, yeah, I just said baseline. Everyone's like, well, you just lost me. Okay, so you need a baseline. So when you put a car on a dyno, put a car on the dyno, bone stock, run it, that's your baseline. Those are your results, your horsepower and torque for your baseline, bone stock car. Now you put an intake on the car, you run the car, see what the differences are. See how much more power it makes. Put a downpipe on the car, see how much more power it makes. Put an exhaust on the car, see how much more power it makes. Put a tune on the car, okay? But normally you don't want to just do intake, exhaust, downpipe, front mount, and then tune, okay? A proper shop will put bone stock car on the dyno the car, no mods. Put an intake on the car, flash the car back to stock to its baseline, put a tune on the car, see if any revisions need to be made. See if any limiters are being hit because of the intake. Now they'll put the factory air box back on the car, put the stock intake back on the car, put a downpipe on the car, dyno it, see what the results of the downpipe do. And this is a step-by-step process. You do it with every single part. You do it with the intake, you do it with the front mount, you do it with the exhaust, you do it with the downpipe. A turbo revision, different turbos. You're gonna have to go through all those steps. That is why tune development takes so long to get done properly. Okay, so are these other shops doing that? I mean, are these other shops putting a car on the dyno, fully bolted, put a tune on it and go, look at that, 75 horsepower? Probably. And, you know, they rented that dyno for the day to get those results. So now they can offer you a tune that's been dyno proven for a fully bolted car, but they can't give you a tune for just a downpipe and intake. Again, something to think about, because we don't know what parameters are going to change when you do that. APR is an excellent company. They if anything, they really do a fantastic job of releasing tunes. They'll do a tune with intake, a tune with intake exhaust, a tune with intake downpipe, tune with intake exhaust downpipe, and they've got stage 1, stage 0, stage 0 plus, stage 1, stage 1 plus, stage 2, stage 2 plus, stage 3. They have all these different stages of tunes. They have 91 octane, 93 octane, 100 octane, 101 octane. They've got all these different octane levels because they spent the time developing the tunes for all those individual parts. That takes time, an incredible amount of time, and all that time has to be spent on a dyno. Now, there's more than just data collection from horsepower and torque. Up here, we've got sensors and hoses kind of drug all over the place. Those sensors and those hoses are meant to pull data from the car. RPM signal, boost signal, fuel pressure, AFRs, what am I missing? RPM, wheel speed. I think you can do some. I believe we have a knock sensor on there also. Knock sensor is a little difficult to program. I'm not going to really get into that, but those are all the data points you get from there. Now you can plug into the OBD2 port and pull additional data from that. You know, look at your cam timing, your ignition timing, and blah, 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 blah. I'll get into all that in another video series. In this series, what I'm sharing with you is I'm sharing with you the importance of a dyno. Okay? When somebody does a virtual dyno, if you don't know what a virtual dyno is, okay, I got to roll back here a little bit. Virtual dyno is when you put your vehicle into, you fill out a bunch of data points. So you take your vehicle weight, you take your gear ratios, you take your top speed, you plug into your OBD2 port, and you record vehicle speed, RPM, boost, ignition timing, time. I'm trying trying to remember this off the top of my head, sorry guys. And then you take all that information and then you drop your data log into the virtual dyno and it kicks out a number. It says your car makes X amount of horsepower. Well, the real easy way to screw with that number is just to change the vehicle weight. Now, if you didn't put your vehicle on a scale, weigh it at that exact moment, numbers aren't going to be accurate. And even if they are reasonably accurate, which sometimes they can be, sometimes they can be way off, you don't get a true representation because you're not correcting for environment. Let's say you did your virtual dyno for your baseline at 2 o'clock in the morning when air quality was fantastic, temperatures were way down, and then you turn around and do that exact same virtual dyno poll at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it's 100 degrees out, numbers aren't going to add up. So there is a way to manipulate virtual dyno. There's a way to manipulate dyno results too. So one of the very important things that we do when we're dynoing, we have up on our screen, we have the intake air temp, we have the air quality, we have boost, we have RPM, air fuel, all of that is on our run screen. And when we do our videos, we make sure you can see our run screen. That is very, very important for our results and for the customers that understand the dyno, understand the value of the dyno results. They're able to see those air temperatures, they can see the air quality, they can see the humidity. Those results are on our TV screen when we are dynoing. Transparency. And all of the big names, trust me, they are very transparent in what they do. So, why do you buy a tune for your car? Well, obviously you buy it because you want to make it faster, you want to make it sportier. There's some options, pops and bangs, gurgles, watch shifting, flat foot shifting, launch control. People like that stuff. But in the end, let's be honest, you're trying to make the car faster. Okay? And what some people are selling you will make the car faster. But are you getting what you paid for? Are you getting a truly developed tune that's been dyno tested, street tested? You know, does the shop, here's a big one, does the shop have a shop vehicle in the market you're buying a tune for? Okay, example, we have a Hyundai Veloster shop car, we have a Elantra Sport shop car, we have a SRT4 shop car, we have a Mazda Speed shop car, and we have a Kia Stinger shop car, okay? And we have Kia Stingers in both all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive as our shop vehicles. When you go out and buy a tune for your Elantra Sport, are you going to buy an Elantra Sport tune from a shop that doesn't own a shop car? Very important. I can put my Elantra Sport up on my dyno anytime I want to, any hour of the day. 3 o'clock in the morning because I want to test something. Does that other shop have that capability to do that? We also have, I kind of dropped the whole Fiat thing. We do have a Fiat 124 shop car and we do have a Fiat 500 shop car also. These are not personally owned shop cars, these are shop cars owned by very close friends. We've done tons and tons of development, hundreds of hours on the dyno. So we've had the vehicles on the dyno, so they are shop sponsored cars. That is something that also carries a lot of weight. Track times, okay? If a shop doesn't have a dyno, there's a very good possibility they don't own a record-setting car. That's just how it goes. Remember the top 20 shops in the USA? Go look them up. I guarantee you, not only do they have a dyno, but they probably have shop cars in the markets that they probably have shop cars in the markets that they are dedicated to, that they market to. Not only that, but I bet you they own track times or have track records or are competing with the track records of the other companies that have dynos and have those track records. So when you are looking for a tune, the very first thing you should look for is, was it developed on a dyno? Does the shop who's selling that tune have a dyno? Okay? Very first thing. Next thing, what records? What quarter mile times, what autocross, what road race, what records have been set with that tune in the markets that you are in? Okay? Fiat. If you have a Fiat 500, We have the top 3 spots for the fastest Fiat in the quarter mile on the stock turbo. All 3 of them. Had them for the last 3.5, 4 years. Nobody's been able to touch it. About 2,000 hours on that dyno. Not kidding. 2,000 hours worth of development for the Fiat 500 1.4 multi-air engine. That 2,000 hours paid off in giving us the top 3 spots. Okay. Does that mean you need to go out and buy our tune for the Fiat 500? Absolutely not. Doesn't mean that at all. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to educate you to go through and look for what's important in a tune. Now there's another company, I'm not going to name any names, I'm not going to say anything, but they claim 260 horsepower out of a stock turbo on a Fiat 500. That's ludicrous. 100% impossible. 110% impossible. It is simply not possible. I even think with like 100 shot of nitrous, I still do not think 260 horsepower would be possible on that engine with the stock turbo. Absolutely impossible. The exhaust side is physically too small to move that amount of air. You were lied to. You were lied to because they wanted to sell a product. Just think about that. I can go through and claim absolutely anything I want. I can tell you guys that we have a stock Fiat turbo making 300 horsepower with a custom cam, methanol injection, and 13-to-1 compression pistons running 37 pounds of boost. I can tell you anything I want. I have morals. I don't like to do that. These other companies, I think they don't have very strong morals. And I spend a lot of time looking at what is being sold on the market and what is being claimed. And what is fantastic, okay, so what is fantastic, I love this about this, is people will claim something, somebody will come in and say, I don't believe that. And then that person from the internet backlash will just be slaughtered on social media. Well, you don't know what you're talking about, you're an idiot, blah, 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 blah. Guys, if the guy that comes in and says, I don't believe that, owns the records in the community that you're in, if he has the highest horsepower car in the community that you're in, guess what? There's a really good possibility he is right. And if he is being slaughtered by the exact same community, why is that? I've seen it happen in Mustang. I've seen it happen in the Camaro community, the Corvette community. I've seen it happen in the BMW communities. Communities I'm not even involved in. I have seen guys come in and go, horse shit, that's not possible. And everyone from Camp Watermelon wants to come over and slam this guy, but this guy has the wheel horsepower record, the fastest track time. He has all these results to back him up. But because he comes in and shoots down the popular opinion, he's the bad guy. Guys, you're smarter than this. A lot of you have bought a Fiat, a Hyundai, a Kia, a Ford. A lot of you are first-time turbo owners. This is your first turbo car, you're super excited about it, you're looking for what's being talked about on social media. Stop it. Stop looking for what the popular opinion is and start looking for who holds the records. Because trust me, those guys didn't get those records by not having a dyno. They didn't get those records by guessing. They spent thousands of dollars on mapping software, thousands of hours on the dyno, getting absolutely every ounce out of that engine, out of that turbo for you. And that is what you guys need to start looking for, okay? I had a lot more I wanted to talk about. I wanted you guys to understand the importance, to get through the social media quagmire, the mess that has been made in selling a pretty box with a pretty dyno chart. And trust me, when somebody comes in and goes, that dyno chart doesn't look right, look at who's saying that, because that person probably knows his shit. He probably has a pretty good idea that you can't make 260 horsepower on a 200 horsepower turbo. Listen up, guys, when that 260 horsepower car is taken to the quarter mile and it runs a 14.6, okay, Either the guy driving the car is completely inept and doesn't know how to drive a manual trans car, or they are lying to you. Now here's the killer. You can go through and look at the trap speed, and the trap speed will tell it all. Now can we get into trap speeds and vehicle weights and, you know, 1/8 mile to 1/4 mile, you know, we call it the back half. The mile per hour gained in the back half, that's 1/8 mile to 1/4 mile. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm simply not going to get into that because I want you guys to do some research. And you educate yourself on what some of these people are saying and the results they're getting with their 1/4 mile times. Because if the results they're claiming aren't coming out on the back side of the 1/4 mile, you've been fed a load of horseshit. And you need to start combating that. You need to confront that. Say, hey, I thought your car made 230 horsepower, but it's running like it's 180 horsepower. According to your vehicle weight, your trap speed, and your ET, we put that into a little calculator we found online, and yeah, it says 180 horsepower, not 230. Everyone can do this. Absolutely everyone can do this, and I am going to go through and show you how to do this. All right? So cliff notes, dyno, 1/4 mile, road race, autocross. If these guys are running these particular tunes and they're winning these events and they're the fastest in their 1/4 mile, guys, you need to get on board with those guys that are spending the time developing these tunes for you, because they're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing it because they one, they love what they do. Two, they have to make a profit in what they're doing. And if you guys are going out and buying tunes for 85 bucks or 150 bucks from some guy who doesn't even have a storefront, come on, man. You're not getting what you paid for. Well, at $85 or 100 bucks, you might be. And when you have a problem with that tune, if you try to get a hold of another shop and ask them, hey, my tune doesn't work right, can you help me? You're probably not going to get the warmest welcome. Okay? So keep that in mind. I want to thank everyone for watching. You know, if you've made it to this point in the video, I need you to, you know, hit the subscribe button. I need you to like this video. Well, some of you aren't going to like it, fair enough. And I need you to share this. I want to see what other shop owners have to say about this. I know we're going to get a whole lot of people saying a whole lot of negative and a whole lot of positive. I bet you we're going to see thumbs up and thumbs down across the board pretty even on this one. I would like to see thumbs up much higher, so those of you who support us, hit us with the thumbs up, all right? Thanks, guys. Stay tuned for the next episodes.